When you talk about finding people who will run through a wall for you, you can say it easily. That's really hard. So, JP, have to ask you. I mean, what you just said, I'm serious about this. Let me play interview for a half second, y'all. How did you do it? And here's the question. When you talk about finding people who will run through a wall for you, you can say it easily. That's really hard. What have you learned in your adult life or your life that you figured out how to assemble the highest quality team?
Well, one, it has nothing to do with how intelligent you are today. It has nothing to do with your background. It has nothing to do with your resume. In fact, early team members were like surprised that I had not looked at anybody's resume. I didn't even know that people had their MBAs. I was like, oh, hey, I just found out you have an MBA. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. They're like, did you read any of this stuff? I was like, no, because the only thing I do, and every single person is an employee here and globally, their final interview is with me. An interview isn't a technical or skills conversation. I remember some of the team members like, JP, I think you need to be a part of this interview process. Now, am I 100, batting 100? No. All I care about is what the hell you really care about in your life. It has nothing to do with, I'm a great coder. I really want to do all these other things. Like, what drives you at the core when you have nothing?
You ask them that?
Yeah. I try to find out who's your family, why, what do you care about? What are the things, what's your alignment and where you're trying to go in your life? And I always say, like, between here and the next 100 years, it'd be great if everybody's on board, but that's not the reality. So on this path, on this stopping point in your life, do we have an alignment of values of who you are at the core of who you are and the alignment of the values of the company? If we are, that's all that matters. I don't really care. That's why I love our interns. I spend a lot of time with our interns. We have 500 plus people apply for the internship program, and we have what, 18, give or take, 22, 20. Well, I didn't even know, 22 interns coming up. They're my most favorite because I get to ask the questions because they're forming who am I and who do I want to become? Because if you have that alignment at the core level, at that primal level, at the end of the day, when it's Saturday at 2 a.m. in the morning and some system broke and it's not working, you mentioned grit. Who's the person who's going to wake up and who's the person who's going to bail out? I remember we fired a CTO a while ago because there was a tech crisis that was happening. And he said, hey, I've got this vacation that I've planned. Not only is it a vacation I planned, it's in, I think it was the Grand Canyon, and I'm not going to have any communication. And the event happened the week before, and he abandoned his whole team. That's game over. I don't care what your credentials and your resume and all the titles that you've been given. If you're gonna abandon your team, you don't need to be around here because that shows me what your values are. Because I can take anybody with the right values, the right hunger, and they will become great. But I can't it doesn't matter how great you think you are. If you have the wrong alignment of values, and it's I'm not saying that I think we talk about toxic organizations, and many of you have been working there in the past. Um, I actually don't think there are toxic organizations, and you might think I'm crazy. I think there are organizations and people have different values. And I'm not saying I agree with those values, but I think those values are very different. And when you find that misalignment, you notice it pretty quick. You may be there for a job to get a paycheck for a while, but you start realizing, like you said earlier, there's this ethics, moral, values tension. And you're like, I'm here for a paycheck. And, as soon as my time is up, I'm going to get out of here. Versus, I really don't care about people who are here for a paycheck. In fact, I really don't want people here for a paycheck. All right. The person who will always be successful is the person who is looking at supporting the team members around them and have an alignment of values. That person will automatically be successful in life. It doesn't really matter if they're here or somewhere else.